This is your second holiday season at Bloomingdale's. You joined about a year ago, and I know you spent your first year really visiting stores, meeting with customers, meeting with executives. What are your observations about what you've seen? What surprised you the most?
Oh, I think, first, actually, the US market is actually the biggest and the most intense market for department stores. So it's very, very exciting for us. As a specialist of department stores, I'm so thrilled to be here. But I think we can do things a little bit differently in the future. I think reinforcing the experience, reinforcing for brands and for customers, I think there's room for improvement for the future. This is what we're working on at Bloomingdale's, is a new strategy.
And of course, you were in Europe and Asia as well, a lot of experience overseas. What have you noticed that's different or perhaps unique about the US consumer and the way they shop and buy versus those in Europe and Asia?
Yeah, I think, first, they're used to go to department store. The share of department store, the importance of department store for the customer is still very, very, very strong. When you compare with Asia, when you compare to Europe, the penetration here is very strong. But I think that the relationship with the department store and with retail overall is very transactional. And I think we have to bring back more about the storytelling from our brand partners to the customer. This is all we're working on right now. And this is a perfect illustration of what we're talking about.
Talk about how you do that. You use the word storytelling, and you hear that a lot, particularly in the fashion industry, right. The idea that you need to give people a reason to spend however much money on that handbag or shoes or whatever, telling a story. So how do you do that in a concept and more importantly, in a day and age where people are much more transactional? They just want to buy what they want to buy and leave the store or buy it online and pick it up and go home.
Mm-hmm. When you're buying a bag, you're not just buying a bag, and especially for luxury brands or for premium brands, you're buying a story. You're buying a social marker. You're buying something special that actually is more than just a product. And we have to make sure that actually through the service, through the store experience, we're bringing that to the customer. The second pillar for us is exactly about that. It's about events, about activations in the stores. It's actually, you're not only coming to the store to buy. You're coming to the store because you're going to meet people you like, because you're going to see something different. You're going to live an exciting experience. So this is exactly what we're working on right now. And we want to make it bigger and bigger to reinforce the attractiveness of Bloomingdale's.
How transferable is that to other locations? I mean, this is your flagship location, so of course you go all out for it. But when you go to a store in Texas or California or somewhere else, can you replicate this?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Romaine. Because I think it's all about being Bloomingdale's and being a chain is actually, it's not only about the flagship. It's actually, we want to be, as Bloomingdale's, the local leader, the local destination. So we have to cascade that to every single store, to every single customer, and the teams are working on it. Of course, it's a little bit different. It has to be relevant locally, but we're doing that in every store.
Given your background in Europe and in Asia, are there plans for any sort of international expansion for Bloomingdale's?
I don't think so. We already have a partner in the Middle East who is performing really well. So Bloomingdale's in Middle East is actually a strong platform, but for now it's not a priority because we think that actually we have a lot of opportunities in our domestic market. And we think that we can have actually strong growth in the future in the US, in our domestic market. Building a new platform in a new region is actually very, very challenging. I had a chance to experience that in the past. And honestly, starting from scratch, when you already have mature models and mature department store brand in these regions, is actually very challenging.
What about the mix between your amount of sales that you're getting from your brick and mortar locations and the amount of sales that you're getting from digital online sales?
So right now, we're pretty much in line with actually our peers and competitors right now. So I think the market is around 30%, a third of the sales. But actually what we observe for the last few years is actually this fantastic growth of online. Well, not jeopardizing the store sales right now.
Is that like a different customer or is it the same customer?
No, actually we're seeing, so first online now is our #1 recruiting channel for new customers, but we have this ability to actually transfer our online customers to offline because you have the returns, because you want to actually book or see what you're going to buy on offline online. So that's a great continuous experience. I think right now customers are totally channel agnostic. They don't care whether they're shopping online or offline. Mm-hmm. They want to see a product. They want to experience Bloomingdale's, whatever the platform. So for now, we're talking about online, offline. Tomorrow, it's going to be social shopping. It's going to be, whatever the channel. I think it's really about relating and engaging with the brand.
If you take a step back, and I'm sure in contrast to what you see in Europe and Asia, the department store model has been struggling in the US for a number of years now. What do you think is behind that? Why is the department store model not doing as well in the US as it could be, say, in Asia or Europe?
Yeah, I think, first, the models in Asia and Europe right now are really flagship focused. So I think that's one big difference. And honestly, I think the flagships will have a bright future in the next 10, 20 years. It's not, I think, a problem at all. I think the problem here is managing such a large footprint. And that can be a challenge sometimes. At Bloomingdale's, we have the chance to be in prime locations and prime malls, so very strong locations. We have a limited footprint. So I think we have more opportunities than threats for Bloomingdale's in the future. I really do think that actually the department store model has a bright future, but it has to reinvent itself from the perspective of the customer, but also from our brand partners. We have to be relevant for our brand partners and rethink the model from this point of view.
How about the broader retail landscape overall? Are there too many stores in the US overall?
When you look at just the pure market data, when you look at the overall market is actually slightly growing, the penetration of online is going up. So for sure, the average productivity of the square feet overall in the US is actually slightly decreasing. So yes, there will be probably some losers. It's why you have to challenge yourself and reinvent your model to remain relevant for your customers, but also for your partners.
I have to ask you, when you look at other retailers, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a direct competitor, who do you envy most? Like when you walk into their stores or you shop on their website, who do you just say, wow, they really got it right. I want to try to emulate some of this.
No, first, I really think that actually Bloomingdale's is doing that right. When I discovered the model, I'm sorry to say, but I'd say, no, but it's not the only, it won't be my only answer. But actually, honestly, I was very surprised by the level of engagement of the customer. The relationship that we're building with the customer and with our partners is actually good. And I think we can even do better in the future. But I think there's a lot of source of inspirations from our competitors, but also from other models right now, whether it's in terms of service, in terms of brand mix, in terms of events and activations. There are a lot of inspirations that are in retail and beyond retail. I don't want to give you any names, but I have a lot of source of inspiration actually in the US, but also abroad, which is another thing. I think we should not be too domestic focused because we're going to miss probably some good trends that are happening somewhere in the world.
And you think that maybe what we see abroad in terms of their approach to department stores and just retail overall, you think that's going to be palatable to a US audience?
I'm absolutely convinced about that. I think, we have to bring the best of both worlds, and I think this is where we're going to perform and bring something different for the customer. The customer is ready right now for something different, more inspiring. And this, we can get it from some of the countries or some of the other models in the world.